Welcome to That's Derm Good. I'm Janelle Ball, and I'm excited to bring you thought-provoking conversations about biologics, specialty medications, treatments, and so much more. I'll be chatting with some amazing guests about access, affordability, and advocacy. You're really going to enjoy this show. Welcome to That's Derm Good. Today we have a really special conversation with the founders behind Mind the Skin. We have Audrey Ajaykaye, founder and CEO, and Bola Ajaykaye, co-founder, COO, and CPO. Ladies, thank you so much for joining me. I love when I get to have two guests because it's double the fun on the show. Audrey, you're nationally recognized as an eczema advocate and Gen Z health leader. And Bola, you also bring experience and strategy execution in the highest levels to the industry. And so I'm really excited to chat with you ladies and hear. But first, I want to hear a little bit about your backstory. Audrey, I'd love to start with you. You've lived with eczema for 20 years. Can you take us into what that experience has been like on a day-to-day, not just clinically, but like personally as well?
Yeah. No, first of all, thank you for having us, Janelle. We're super excited. Yeah, so as you said, I've had eczema for the last 20 years, basically since birth. And it's been challenging for a lot of reasons, but biggest of all, because a lot of solutions just didn't work for me. So we would try different dermatologists and go through a bunch of different products that just didn't work. And when you're growing up as a young kid, it is quite frustrating to not be able to do some of the things that your peers can do, not be able to swim as much as you want because your skin is burning or itching, or not be able to wear the clothes that you want to wear to school because you have flares all over your legs, and people at school are asking you, like, is this something that's contagious?
Mhm.
So it has impact, not just in terms of it being super itchy and quite annoying to find the solution at times, but also really on that mental health side of things, where a lot of times it can make you not feel as confident in yourself. And that's really why I decided to really just want to build in the space, was because I saw not how much I was struggling, but how many other people, especially young people, were struggling with the disease. And as the internet became more and more ever present, I was constantly looking for fun and unique ways to connect with the young community, be able to provide information and also just learn from myself. Because eczema also is interesting because it can manifest differently on skin of color. And so for me, it took a couple of dermatologists to even find out that I had eczema, and then also to be able to figure out what treatment options would work best for me, not just during the flare, but after the flare, because I experienced some darker spots on parts of my body that, they would recommend certain things to try and help lighten those areas that maybe don't work as well for certain skin tones. So I think it was quite a trial and error time, but
Mhm.
I'm happy to be where I am today and be someone who can hopefully provide resources and be kind of someone that people can look to and see that there is that light at the end of the tunnel that everyone always tells you about.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, your story, I'm sure, resonates with so many people. But I think as an advocate, even just having that experience, that lived experience, and understanding what it's like and what people are dealing with, it really speaks on an even higher level than someone who is not necessarily to negate somebody else that's an advocate that's not experiencing it, but because you've lived it and you know what people are struggling with and going through, it makes it an even better advocate because you have a different perspective. So, you ladies, just to clarify so everybody knows, you look like sisters.
Can answer that. I'm Audrey's mom, and Audrey thanks me for the genes. So a lot of people do think we're sisters, but it's been such a pleasure to, work with Audrey in this space. Before I go in, though, I want to say a big thank you to you, Janelle, for inviting us to such a platform that educates and is helping a lot of people out there. My name is Bola Ajaykaye, and I'm the COO and CPO of Mind the Skin. And Audrey's shared her lived experience with eczema. I'm on that other side, the mom, the caregiver. I
Yeah.
have two adult daughters that have eczema, and it's taking quite a toll, not just from what Audrey shared. She says it best, but also even from the cost of eczema. That's another side of this: the mental health part, the cost, the confidence, and the worry the guilt that
Yeah.
mothers feel sometimes when, or parents, or other types of caregivers, partners, feel when they have a loved one that's living with this disease and they feel helpless. They
Yeah.
don't know where to go. They don't know what makes it better. The unpredictability of the disease in and in of itself is a full-time job, if I'm honest.
Mhm.
So I come from I've always had a science mind. I love to innovate, and I have had 25 years of experience in oil and gas industry, where I've helped with lots of innovations along the way. And my daughter keeps saying, "Mom, you need to join up with me. We got to fix this. We need a solution here." So after 25 years, I decided this is the right time to
Yeah.
really work on something that matters, something that impacts 32 million people in the US, let alone um, globally.
Yeah.
So we have always been quite close. We get ourselves into a lot of projects over the years, but Mind the Skin is our, best project yet, I would say. We enjoy what we do here, finding solution, enjoy reading about people that are finding hope in the patches that we are creating here, and just excited
Yeah.
about what's to come and also the community that we're building through this.
Yeah, I love that. You know what? It's something really interesting that I think not a lot of people talk about is the the parent side, like a mom that is struggling as well, even though you don't have eczema, your daughter does. And growing up, trying to, as parents, we're shielding, protecting, taking care of our children. And that, I mean, it breaks your heart when you're seeing them struggling. So I don't think that that's spoken to enough. Seeing that you did something about it, I feel like a lot of times that it does motivate. It can be that fuel to want to do something about it and to change what is happening. What would you say to other moms that are in the same boat that are struggling with a chronic condition for their child and can feel helpless sometimes?
Absolutely. I've been there, and you're not alone. I
Mm,
will say it's a lot of listening, a lot of empathy, a lot of just being there,
mhm.
because this disease is a tough one. Very, very unpredictable, as you already know. But I feel like it's also being open-minded about solutions that might be out there to try. Obviously, over the time, I make sure that the relationship with our dermatologist is always there. Once we found the right one, don't give up, keep looking. The right clinician that's going to partner with you is out there. But also products like what we are, what we've brought to market here can be that solution in between office visits, being able to, find some relief in the nights when a young child is just itching and the child isn't sleeping, you're not sleeping. Some adults can go to work. So I feel like as caregivers, we just need to not assume too much. We have to be humble about it and just listen to our loved one going through this disease. Let them teach us what they're feeling, how they're feeling, and how we might help. And sometimes when they don't need our help, when they just want to be left alone, just to kind of, decompress a bit, because it can be a lot. But
Yeah.
the hope is that together, it's about partnership. The hope is that you can partner with your loved one to find what's going to help them be comfortable in their own skin.
Yeah. I love that. That is very well said. So, Audrey, what do you think stood out to you the most that maybe the industry was missing?
One thing that I think is really important to point out in what we're doing is that we're not just providing you with a product for when you're in your flare, but really the surrounding time. So, a lot of people who have flare prone skin deal with these cycles of sometimes it's called the itch flare cycle,
Mhm.
where you kind of at the start, maybe you have a little bit of redness, maybe your skin feels tight, maybe it feels a little bit itchy. And sometimes then that is what leads into the big flare that we all know. And then afterwards, you may deal with, like I mentioned earlier, like hyperpigmentation. And even if you don't, your skin barrier is still healing kind of underneath. So your skin could look fine, but that's why sometimes you feel like, oh, my skin healed. And then, like in a week or two, it's back again.
Mm.
So what we found, and then what was backed up by a lot of literature, is that a lot of these flare prone like skin issues actually follow quite a cyclical nature. And so if you're able to provide support and treatment and options at all three of those stages, you actually start to work more and less of a kind of reactive mindset and more of a proactive mindset. Because for me, that's part of what makes these skin issues so frustrating is you just feel like, okay, now the flare is here and I don't know when it's going to come back. I don't know what steps I'm
Mhm.
in or how to really even really listen to your skin and see what your skin is telling you and be able to help. So by creating a pre-flare thing, we're able to, if you're able to identify it in time, we're able to hopefully kind of step back the kind of reaction that's happening in your body. So maybe you don't always go into the flares, or if you do go into flares, they
Mhm.
don't take as long to bounce back from. And then also on the back end, if you're helping to treat your skin barrier and really make sure that it's fully healed, before you kind of go back to normal things, then hopefully those flares don't keep reappearing in the same spots as often. So I think
Yeah.
one of the huge things I saw for me was really a gap in terms of understanding how to break down the disease into more simple terms, because this is quite a complex
Yeah.
disease. There's a ton of different even subsects of it. Like people don't even know what type they have, let alone like how to really see
Mhm.
where they fall or like how their skin is really, tracking over time. By for even if you don't know what kind of eczema you have or what kind of flare prone skin issue you may have, being able to just work through and say, okay, at least I know I'm in pre-flare stage right now and I can track, okay, maybe last time it took me 4 days to get out of this pre-flare stage. Maybe next time it's three, that already gives you hope, but most of all control that you feel like, okay, I know where I'm at. I know what steps coming next. And I know some steps that I can do to kind of get me to where I need to go. Because I think a lot of it is just you feel hopeless, you feel clueless, but by creating this framework, hopefully, even if you're not using our products, you're able to just be able to identify your skin a little bit better. So that was the huge
Yeah.
gap that I saw, as well as this patch format in general. There is not really a patch system out there for flare prone skin. A lot of us know of acne patches or a lot of the
Mhm.
other really fun innovations in like the face mask space or other things, but in terms of flare prone skin, it was really just the moisturizers that we know and that are helpful, but might not really penetrate deep enough. And then also on the latter end, it's more steroids or biologics, which serve their purpose. And we know that are helpful to many people out there. But there are that people in between that might have, those mild to moderate kind of flares. People like me that want to be able to manage from home and that can manage from home,
Mhm.
really be able to use that as like an add on as well.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Before we jump into the products, it's makes sense to understand your flare cycles. When you think of how do I learn my body? I mean, this is like anybody who's learning to eat healthy to understand, okay, what works well for me, or even just dealing with acne, or, oh, if I have too much dairy, then I'm going to break out, and just understanding your body even better to be able to learn it. And I think that is something that is really difficult for people to kind of get into the habit of being in tune with their body and understanding their body well enough to learn. But I don't think that's anything that's really taught. I find that really interesting though.
No, definitely.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
think one of the things that we are most proud of are, it's like learning language. So I know that in the dermatology space, the way eczema is shared is through the lens of the severity of the disease.
Mm.
So words like subcutaneous or, severe stages or whatever. But what we've tried to do here is to break it down to the consumer level, to the patient level, very kind of more easy language for everyday people to understand by just saying, it's before, it's during, and after. That's
Mm.
all. And that's what we are calling the flare cycle. Also, just the approach in the ingredients that we've put together, curated in a format that really helps to balance the barriers of the skin.
Mm.
People might not know that, essentially you have four barriers. So we call it our four barrier system because we found that to the extent that we can keep those barriers or defenses in a way, to the extent that we can keep them in sync and working together the right way,
Mhm.
That's what helps. It helps a long way, and that's the whole kind of philosophy behind our formulation. So we can get into it more, but those are some
Yeah.
of the things that we were thinking. If you had to bring something innovative to this space, maybe where we start is making sure patients understand, customers understand their skin better, what it's going through, and what might help it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think one other thing I wanted to add on to that is that on our website, we actually have a skin quiz that allows you to
Mm.
answer questions. And based on that, we are able to tell you what stage of the flare you're in. And as a result, what
Wow.
product can work best. So if people are listening to this and they're like, I don't really understand still how I can
Mhm.
know if I'm pre flare versus active flare, we have those resources available as well, just for your own learnings as well, because we feel like it is important and then over time, you will be able to look at pictures of your skin and be able to be like, okay, yeah, I know exactly where I'm at. So just wanted
Wow.
to do as
And
well.
you know our dream, Janelle? Our dream is that everyone listening starts to use these words.
Mhm.
Okay. They know what the flare cycle is. I mean, as females, we have the menstrual cycle, we have all kinds of cycle. This is for us all to hone, right? The flare cycle and the ability to be able to go to their doctor and say, I've just come out of active flare. What do you recommend I use for this hyperpigmentation? Because
Mhm.
whenever we've spoken, we've had a lot of dermatologists and pediatricians, even allergists reach out to us since we started talking about this product with a lot of excitement, which we're very humbled by. And we go into the meetings and we start by, let's take you through the flare cycle. And they go, we already get it. We already know what you're trying to do. And by the way, it's genius. And we're like, well, thank you so much coming from you. But the point is, we want them, we want the doctors to use it. We want the patients to use it. We want everyday people to be able to use it because once we have something that we're calling it
Mhm.
and we kind of try to have a common denominator language and normalize can be a little bit of a stretch in this space given that eczema is a difficult topic, but we have to find ways of communicating about it so that our community continues to grow strong. We can truly, whether you're on the caregiver side or patient side, we have the same language that we're using, a lot of helpful information out there. We have our community on TYB, Try Your Best. So if you want to check it out, we have maybe 3,000 plus or so people now on that platform that's, engaging with these concepts and
Mhm.
trying to, get to talk to each other, have a two-way communication because these patches, yes, they do help, but the community, you know, um, that's something that's very near and dear to our hearts.
I love that. Okay, so let's get into Mind the Skin. Tell me what it is, how it works. You've talked a little bit about patches and some products. So I want to know, like, what exactly is Mind the Skin?
So very simply, Mind the Skin is one system, three stages, and three patches. That's the easiest way to summarize it. The system is based on the flare cycle, like we've been talking about. And
Mhm.
it's those three stages that allows someone to know where they are in any flare stage, basically. So a lot of products out there just treat the moment of flare when the house is burning down, on fire, literally. But what we try to do is introduce patches, which is, we've introduced three formats that we feel is best suited for each stage of flare. Our
Mm.
first patch, which is called Signal, and it's, we named it for that reason. It gives you the signal to do something before you go into active flare. It's our pre-flare patch, and Signal is made of hydrogel material. Very important in terms of giving hydration. A lot of actives in there, a lot of ingredients that really helps. If you catch it early, it really helps to soothe, really helps to calm. Maybe itch is starting to come, maybe a little bit of redness. Those
Mhm.
actives help to calm things down and reset. As Audrey said, if you catch it early, that's where you want to be. But for some reason, let's say you're traveling, you forgot your patch at home. Now you're inactive flare. What can you do? You get home. If you have your mind the skin patches and you got your surge, the way we say it is your skin is signaling and now the flares are really surging. They're really coming full speed, 500 miles an hour, itch, redness, very uncomfortable. You can't sleep. You're finding yourself awake at night. The surge patch has, again, a mix of ingredients that will settle the skin right away. A lot of people have found that about 90 plus people have found that the itch kind of settles, sometimes even less than an hour. You already find relief. We've had a lot of people try these patches out as well. So I'll get to that in a minute. And the last patch here is the reset. Audrey alluded to it earlier. The reset, what we found is that the barrier just doesn't, just because you've treated the surface, it doesn't snap back into place that quickly. Like, oh, yay, let's go. We're done. No. The skin barrier takes about 2 to 3 weeks to really start to settle and really try to heal. So, what we've tried to do is have a reset patch that is a microneedle patch that allows the skin to kind of start the barrier to start to heal itself. And before I forget, the surge is based on hydrocolloid material. So whether it's, a little bit of exudate coming, a little bit of, broken skin, we certainly do not recommend it for bleeding, oozing, infected skin. Let me just be very clear, because at that point you might need antibiotics. You definitely need to be in the doctor's office. We want to make sure what works at home. We're not trying to pretend that, we are doing what clinicians may want to do in the office for you at the stage when it's become very severe. That is something that our patches don't cover. Anyway, the patches, they're also, a lot of people ask us, it's not big enough. And we're like, we've tested it, we've referred to journals. About 80% of the people out there, that's about the size of flare area they have. The patch that you have would probably most likely fall in the range of what the sizes of the patch can cover. However, watch this space. Who knows what happens in the near future? We might be coming up with even bigger patches that might be useful for you. So, in essence, to summarize, like I said, 3 patches. What we've done is to balance the lipid, hydration, microbiome, and immune aspects of your skin barrier, because we know with that your skin can kind of do what it's meant to do, which is to try to heal itself. How do we differ from moisturizers? These actives will penetrate because of the material that we're using. They penetrate deeper into the skin to help settle what's off in the skin. And our hope is, one big thing is, we've taken so much care. Like I said, I have 2 daughters that have dealt with this. So for me, it means a lot to not just rush this. We've taken us years to really think through the best way to put ingredients that won't irritate flare skin. There might be that one person out there that might get the irritation. We can't control that. But when we did a safety test, we did it for 107 participants across the entire Fitzpatrick scale, all skin tones, and 50% eczema prone, 50% sensitive skin, because both can use it. We all fall in the flare prone category. We found 0 irritation, and they used it on and off for 45 days.
Wow.
So that was signed off by doctor, board certified dermatologist, and pediatrician. Another key aspect is that young, finally, I didn't have this 20 something years ago. Mothers, your young ones can use these patches safely.
Wow.
Okay. And also for adults, so young ones that have eczema in or flare prone skin on eyelids, around the lips, areas that are too thin, that your doctor might say, maybe not steroid in those parts. Our patches are gentle enough, thoughtful enough for you to be able to apply in those areas, and you should feel confident. Cut it up, have
Mm.
fun with it, and make nice shapes with it. Put it wherever you need to put it. Let me hand up to Audrey. I'm sure she
Yeah.
has two things
No,
to.
that's great, and I think that's one of the things that I was most excited about is when we were doing our safety testing, we had a big push for making sure it was pediatrician approved for, like, newborns and up, so that's something that is really exciting, and we get a lot of people asking us, like, "Is this safe for young ones?" And we're so happy to say yes. One additional thing I wanted to talk about really is more of the behavioral aspect of flare-prone skin itself and the fact that a lot of times people's skin can get worse because they're itching, and that's itching
Mhm.
can be quite unconscious. It could be conscious as well, but that itching is really what leads to part of what breaks down your skin barrier because you're physically scratching it away.
Mhm.
And when you do that, you can sometimes create those open wounds, and those open wounds are what can lead to infection, like staph infection. And that's when we're saying, it can sometimes lead to you needing to then go to a physician for help. So what we've done is we're not just giving you really good actives that will help to try and heal your skin, but we're also providing you with a physical barrier where even if you're scratching, you're not hurting yourself and you're not destroying your skin barrier, which is huge, especially in those younger populations, like what we're saying, where the doctor would tell me not to itch, but if I'm 5 and I'm itchy,
Mhm.
that's not going to really stop me. So this is a great alternative for those people who might be looking for things because we've designed these patches to be worn for 6 to 8 hours. So I usually like to wear them to sleep. So I just put them on. I can put them underneath my sleeves or whatever and just go to sleep and wake up and my skin already feels better and looks better.
Mhm.
And I think that's one of the things we're most excited about is that because you're actually leaving your skin alone and allowing it to heal with great actives, your skin actually does have a chance to heal and recover maybe faster than in other ways if you were still scratching at it or doing these other things. So I think it's
Yeah.
exciting for a plethora of reasons on all fronts for us.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, you answered a lot of questions that I was sitting here thinking. I was like, "Ooh, what age range?" But that is amazing that newborns can use it. So if you're flaring and you've got usually when you're using this patch, is it that specific area that you're flaring in, or is it going to like, maybe you put it on your arm and that's gonna, maybe extend to the rest of your arm, or how does that work?
Yeah,
You
I'm
know,
happy to answer that. So basically, the way it works is that our patches are designed for localized areas. So
Mhm.
that's why we always try and preface that we are more from mild to moderate, where you have those localized flares. Because what we're basically doing with these patches is we're providing you with a targeted treatment where
Mhm.
your flare is where you can put it and try and recover in those areas. And other areas that you don't have flares in, you don't need to put anything. So that's the design there is really to not have it be something super systemic that kind of goes into your bloodstream or anything like that, but really just to provide localized help where needed.
Mhm.
But we also do find interestingly people who maybe are on biologics as well or some of these other
Mhm.
treatments use us as an additional thing because sometimes you could be on these biologics and still get flares here and there on your body, and we're here to help with that. Or for people who are trying to step down from steroids as well, we're a great alternative. Let's say your doctor is telling you to give your skin a 1 month break, we're here to help with that as well. So I think we play in a really kind of fun space where we're really an addition to what you're doing, or we can be the main solution you rely on. But
Mhm.
we're not here to overtake what works for people, but really to provide you with a new way to think about it and a new approach that might be helpful for you as well.
Yeah, it
and
sounds like it complements with
yeah,
your regimen for sure.
we call it the adjunct solution to. You still need your moisturizer for overall
Mhm.
hydration. By all means, your sensitive skin moisturizer, please continue to use that. Um, if you have prescription from your dermatologist, mention these patches to them. I'm pretty sure they'll be comfortable with you using it. You asked the question then, Janelle, areas that are not directly the flare that are around the skin as well, it can hurt.
Mm.
These are, you think of it as ingredients that even if you do not have eczema at all, and that's another angle, right? If you
Mhm.
do not have eczema, if you do not, if you put it on your skin, it won't do anything but help improve your hydration, improve your lipid, and it can only help. It
Yeah.
can really hurt and also use long term. We don't
Mhm.
have to worry about that because again, it's really helping to, make your skin be the best that it can be. We have a lot of customers already asking for different applications too. For example, people that have tattoos,
Mm.
as chain or whatnot. And Audrey might think of one or two more applications that people are already, saying, can I use it for this? And we're like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
Yes, you
for sure.
can.
Like poison ivy or something,
Yeah,
because
people
poison
who
ivy
get
can be itching a lot.
one that people have been asking for is sunburn, especially that signal patch,
Yeah.
the hydrogel. People who get sunburn on their face, our
Mhm.
patches are perfect to put there and provide that cooling and kind of
Wow.
healing. Also, people with psoriasis have been reaching out a ton, and we're
Mhm.
here to say we can definitely help with that. We
Mhm.
always recommend, patch testing, of course, if you are worried about anything, but it's just so fun to see so many people reaching out and saying, "Oh, can I use this on my hands? I only have it on my hands." And we're like, "Yes, you can cut them up and wrap them around your fingers, or you can
Wow.
put them even on high, like, flexing parts of your body, such as, like,
Mhm.
elbows or behind the knees,
Mhm.
because the patches are designed to be super strong. They will stay on your skin, and even some people, like, feel like they could almost, like, swim in them because of, like, how
Mhm.
water resistant they are. While we're not
Yeah.
claiming that, they're fully waterproof, they're very sturdy. So if you
Yeah.
feel like you maybe sweat a little bit throughout the day, the surge patch especially is helpful there. So we're pretty excited about all the fun applications. And on socials, especially as it warms up here, we'll be doing some fun things to show our patches in different environments and
Yeah.
how they
I love that. And it's interesting as you were talking about the different uses for it, it made me think, now spring, there's all these allergens and
Yes.
things. I love that it can be used in different ways, but I really love that you were saying there's the app that you can go and learn about the cycle that you're in, the flare cycle, so that you can use the correct patch. I think that is absolutely amazing. There's nothing on the market like this right now.
No, this is something we are pretty excited about. And yes, the quiz is on, it's called the Flair Quiz. It
Mm,
is on the website. Use it to your heart's content. Nothing on the market. So, Janelle, we filed a patent for this staged based patches because of that. We believe that this is somewhat changing. We like to be kind of humble about it, but this is really changing the face of flare prone skin. Let's call it what it is. And
mm.
what is most exciting is the kind of comments that we get online or DMs or emails, people thanking us,
Yeah.
people grateful that we've come up with a format, people making comments like, this is sick. This is literally out of this world. It
Yeah.
does make the effort that's gone into this, it does make it worthwhile. And more so, I think it's about joining hands as a caregiver and an eczema sufferer
Mhm.
and just being humble about, holding hands and crying together and, just going through this journey together, my daughter and I, as being um quite an experience in a positive way. Because when we see how vulnerable people are to share their pictures with us and say, I'm caring for my 75-year-old dad who's really struggling. And we see some pictures sometimes, and Audrey and I literally cry.
Mm.
Before we're like, we'll send you a patch box. We literally cry
Mhm.
because we've been there. We know what this thing is, and all we are here to do is to join hands with the community and try to find some support any way we can, whether by holding hands or by physically handing out patches, whatever it is.
Mhm.
Let's hopefully find some relief here. Much
Yeah.
needed.
Yeah.
It's more than just building a product. You're solving a real life-changing issue, a real moment, things that people are really struggling with and suffering with that need that additional help. And I'm curious, Audrey, because you have such a large voice within the Gen Z um, generation. How do you feel that everyone is thinking differently about their skin health and in particular with dealing with eczema or just in general?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question because I do see a large trend of people being more conscious of their skin, and I think that's good, but also can have some negatives. I think it's good because people are a lot quicker to identify things and try out products and try and find solutions that work for them via the different search engines and social media that we have. But also you find that a lot of them are more willing to lean on each other and just like DM you and ask, "Hey, I saw your skin, it's clear. What are you using?" Or,
Mhm.
also open up and say, "I actually, I don't have a solution. Does anyone have?" And people are really nice and supportive. And we see that even in the kind of accounts that are opening up. There's a lot more accounts of people, let's say they've dealt with TSW, that are now being like, "Oh, I'm documenting my TSW
Mhm.
recovery journey." And that really opens up the space to be able to have those really authentic and raw conversations, because before I feel like people really, and even still now, a lot of people hide their eczema because like we've talked about, it's something that people may not be as familiar with. Some people might think it's contagious or might have these preconceived notions about what it is. And so what I'm finding is by having more people just share even what it looks like on them, people feel more at ease. Because at school, I don't think I saw anyone else really that was dealing with it other than maybe my sister. So I think it's helpful in that way.
Yeah.
And then I also think though that with that over kind of analyzing everything, we just need to make sure that we are not being too critical on ourselves, because there are times where you can then start to look at other people's healing journey and think, I'm not there or I'm not moving as
Right.
fast. So I think it is great to share, but I also want to kind of talk and share with others out there that it is okay to be healing slower, not be at the same stage that you see other people using, or that the same product might not work for you, and it's all about that trial and error and learning yourself. But I think the more we have conversations, only the better we'll get, because,
Mhm.
we're all here to help each other. And this is a condition that the triggers are even so different for why people get it. So the more we're able to talk about it and give people frameworks and steps for being able to identify their skin and start to listen to it more, the better it would be overall. But yeah, I think we're tending towards a really positive, trajectory. We are now seeing more eczema, flare prone skin creators than ever before. I mean,
Mhm.
even like 5 years ago, when I was like first just looking into the space and trying to find resources, there was way less people even posting about this than we see
Mhm.
now. So I think it's all really great overall.
Yeah.
Shout out to creators out there or people living through flare prone skin. Please connect with us. We are looking for a lot of people, in the hundreds that might want to try this patch. And we want to partner with you. We want to see this help a lot of people. And that takes a lot of people trying it. So
Yeah.
please connect with us.
Yeah, it brings it back to the community. I know, Bola, you said there's a community of over 3,000 members, and I think community is huge. I think it's so important to be able to share those stories, to be able to collaborate. I mean, within, like, my company, we've got a community group that I've built out. Is an app for, like, medical assistants and biological coordinators that are working in
Mm.
the access space,
Mhm.
and we struggle with, learning about, okay, insurance changes and prior authorizations and all of those things that we're constantly seeing that are changing, and how we can, most of the people that are in this space are there because they have a passion for helping patients. Most people go
Yes.
into the medical space or the industry because they, either they have a experience personally, somebody in their family, or they just have a genuine passion for helping others, and being able to have a community where you can connect with other people that are like-minded, that are seeing the same things, and being able to build on that, I think is huge. What you were saying, Audrey, too, about seeing more people posting about their conditions and seeing those struggles, it helps other people to be able to say, "Oh, I can share my story."
That in itself is healing.
Yeah.
That in itself is freeing. And talking about community on our TYB community, we started out with saying, well, let's see who might want to join. And now what we're expanding into is a community for flare prone skin. We
Mm,
don't want it to just be that our patches is all of what's discussed there. We
mhm,
want people to feel free to maybe ask for advice or share their stories, share their experiences with others in the community. We want, of course, our patches will come up, our nomenclature, flare cycle, stages, that's natural, that will come up. But we want it to be a safe space more than anything for
mhm.
people to come to. So we're doing some really fun some fun series at this moment where we ask about one or two questions or so a day. And, we want people to kind of share where they are, their journey. We want it to almost feel like a peer journal where you can just come in, you're
Yeah.
tired at the end of the day and you go, what is Mind the Skin up to today? Let's see the Flair community and let's see what people are saying. We want it to be balanced, not overly just positive to where we don't give credit to the difficulty that is eczema, but also we want people to be vulnerable, to
Mhm.
share. We want to meet people where they are. We want to learn from you because we
Yeah.
don't claim that we know it all. We are still
Yeah.
learning every single day. So that's the space to do it. And we are most excited about how fired up people are already. And just Audrey and I dream big as people. So we already see tens of thousands of people on that Flair community, and we're just hopeful that people can join and find value from the community.
That's amazing. I love what you're doing. You're making such a huge impact, not only in the industry, but so many people's lives, that are struggling. I love that you have this community. Do you find that there's a lot of caregivers in there as well that are trying to learn how to take care of family members?
Y-
Yeah.
Yeah, Audrey, you take that.
No, you would be surprised, even not just in the community, but even customers.
Mhm,
There's times where we will just kind of, reach out and be like, "Oh, we're just curious. Why'd you purchase?" And sometimes they're not buying for themselves. They're buying for their kid, or they're buying for their dad, or they're buying for their spouse. So it's really interesting because they sign up to our newsletter and they're
mm,
plugged into all our information really in a way to learn as well. So it's been really great. And we think that the better that caregivers can understand the condition, the better they can be there to support. And when, you're voicing these frustrations, at least you have a little bit more insight and empathy into it. So I think
mhm,
we are definitely seeing that. And we do encourage that caregivers come as well, because it's just as important for you to also give your perspectives as well into things. All are welcome. And we're just happy to see that people are interested in just hearing more. And most of all, we're here to just learn and give feedback as well. We want this to be a two-way thing where
right.
we are learning from our community and what people are finding works from what we're doing or not, and just adapting from there, because we want this to be as helpful as possible and as constructive as possible as well.
So what is on the horizon for you? You said you have a newsletter. You said you've got the community, you've got the patches. What else is in the works or on the horizon for Mind the Skin?
Sure. Yeah, we have some exciting things coming up. We have been in pre order for a while now, and now we are finally launching our site very, very soon. So you can order and purchase our products, which we're pretty excited about. And then upcoming, we have a pretty exciting photo shoot and full campaign shoot coming up this summer to really be the big blast and campaign around our brand and launching. And like my mom said, there are some pretty exciting new formats that we're already working on. So just stay tuned for that. But we're really excited to be one of the first movers in the patch space and really bring the patch space with this skin category to life in a way that we haven't seen before. So we're
Yeah.
excited about that. We're excited about continuing to grow our socials and continuing to grow our presence everywhere that we can so we can reach and most of all help as many people as we can.
Yeah.
And also, we're talking to clinicians. They are contacting us, they are wanting to see how they might help. They are saying, let's partner. You might see us show up in brochures or QR code, or you might see us on the screen at your doctor's office soon, where they might talk about Mind the Skin and refer you to go and purchase these patches. Because I think it's one thing for a mom and daughter from Houston, Texas to dream up an idea and come up with a set of patches, is another thing for pediatricians and dermatologists to tell us that thank you. We have patients that come in and ask for non-steroidal options, more
Mhm.
natural alternative options, and sometimes we don't know what to tell them. And we're like, well, let's do something about that. How about we partner?
Yeah.
How about you talk about it?
Yeah.
So on our B2B2C side, that's something that you're going to start seeing as well. And,
Yeah,
and that's something that we're just very elated about.
that's awesome. Changing the industry. I love it.
Thank you
So,
so much.
where can people find you either on your socials? I know you said you have a new website coming where they can order products. Where are people getting stuff right now?
So we have a current site, but we are completely redesigning it for a fresh launch. So you can currently pre-order, and people have been pre-ordering. We're going to start shipping product actually this week, which we're super excited about to people. So if you order, your product should be able to arrive starting from next week in 2 to 3 business days, which we're really excited about. And then in terms of social media, we're mostly on Instagram and on TikTok for right now. And then also, like we said, TYB, that's try your best. So for Instagram, our handle is Mind the Skin Labs. On TikTok, our handle is Mind the Skin. And we also are on LinkedIn as well. If you care to follow us there, we'll be talking way more about our blog posts are really talking more about the flare cycle and more of the scientific things that we're in these frameworks that we're talking about. So if you're at all interested in diving deeper into the more technical side of what we're discussing, that's there too. So you can connect with us there. And yeah, we're just so excited to have all of you guys join us and follow along on this journey we're starting.
Yeah,
Yes, I'm
it's been
excited to follow
so
along.
absolutely. It's been so exciting just in terms of the uptake, adoption, even in the pre-order stage. We've had, I think my count, 48 out of 50 states. We've had orders in the
Wow.
United States. And I think by now, 20 something, I don't have the exact figure, 22, 25 countries outside of the
Wow.
US. We want to give this to the entire world, as you can expect, Janelle. We are trying to offer this as much as we can to people that want to try it, experience it, give us feedback, and we are hopeful that this is something that you would find helpful to you'll find calm, you'll find relief. And that's how this should be. So
Yeah.
very exciting.
That's so exciting. Well, Bola and Audrey, thank you so much for sharing your story and for giving us so much really good information. I'm so excited to follow your journey and the success of Mind the Skin. And I appreciate you guys joining me today.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It's great to be here, Janelle.
Thank you, Janelle. We appreciate it. Have a good day.
Thanks for spending a few minutes with me and listening to That's Derm Good. You can expect new episodes of That's Derm Good every week. The podcast is available on your favorite app, including where you're listening right now. Subscribe to the podcast so you never miss a new episode. Bye.